possibly don't want to be taking these corners quite so fast. Hello. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel, I should say. It has been a month since my last video, and there are various reasons for that. There have been some family issues that I've had to deal with, and there have been some heat waves and some cold snaps as well. About a month ago, I came up with the brilliant idea to do a Lord of the Rings special. It was going to be an extra long, super duper, no holds barred, thoroughly detailed, deep dive into the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson. And this idea coincided with a hot spell. The weather turned incredibly hot. It was a heat wave. Everyone was in their bikinis, and I thought to myself, why not take the show outside into the bright sunshine, the summer weather? Let's find a nice field with a tree. I'll lean against the tree and do a review of Lord of the Rings. I realised that it had been years since I had last seen the Lord of the Rings films, so I figured the best thing to do would be to watch all three films, the extended versions and the theatrical versions, and also every single second of every single one of the appendices on each of the extended edition DVDs. Hundreds of hours of viewing. I watched everything. I memorised as much as I could. I was devoted to the idea of doing a really good deep dive into the whole Lord of the Rings thing. And then it started to rain. It started to bucket down. It was horrific. I didn't like it. Didn't want to go out in it. It would have been crap for filming. So I thought, let's scrap it, let's just wait until the bad weather passes, and then I'll go out in the sunshine and do my Lord of the Rings special. And then the weather got nice again. We are in heat wave number 2, following on from typhoons, hurricanes, a Yeti attack. I got attacked by a Yeti, but then something unexpected happened. I got scared. I realised, quite unexpectedly, that of course we are in the middle of a zombie apocalypse at the moment, and being that we're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, there isn't an awful lot I can do out of doors because there are people everywhere being zombies and coughing their COVID juice all over the place. I do not want COVID juice coughed all over me, thank you very much. So I realised very quickly that I did not want to be in the open in case that gave any of the zombies an opportunity to infect and contaminate me. And then it occurred to me the obvious solution is to just stay in the car. I will make my little video whilst simultaneously trying not to run over any old gentlemen. So here I am. Welcome back to my channel. I'm in my car, I'm driving, I'm no longer confined within a tiny, cramped little closet. I'm not in a cupboard, I'm in a car. Still cramped, but slightly less so. And I'm ready to do my Lord of the Rings thingamajig. So, welcome to Top 10 Tuesday on the road. Yes, that's right, Top 10 Tuesday on the road. I will be attempting to give you my top 10 reasons for loving Lord of the Rings. At number 1, the New Zealand scenery. I don't really need to say much more than that. New Zealand is a beautiful, an exquisitely beautiful country. It is an achingly beautiful country, filled with achingly beautiful scenery. Scenery that is so beautiful, so epic, so awe-inspiring that it makes you want to cry, or at least it makes me want to cry. I look at that scenery and think, wow, that is the place that I want to be. Unfortunately, I can't because I'm here. So, number 1, the New Zealand scenery. It's beautiful. It's perfect for Middle-earth. If you're going to make a 12-hour plus epic, make it in New Zealand. Now, in my notes here, I've written down for number 2 on my list, New Zealand attitude/soul, Peter Jackson. Now, I can't exactly remember what I had in mind when I was thinking of that one, except to say that there appears to be something uniquely special about the attitude of New Zealand people with regard to artisanship, craftsmanship, to doing a good job well, to making amazingly good things, using skills and dedication and devotion to their craft. New Zealanders seem to be all-round good eggs. Yes, that's how I would describe New Zealanders. They are good eggs. They're good people. They aren't jaded like people in the rest of the world. They still believe in something better. They believe in something good. They believe that they can achieve what they set out to achieve and achieve it well, and they do. The New Zealand people are a good, honest, hobbity people. New Zealanders are hobbity. They are very hobbity in all the best senses of that word. They are becoming much more technologically advanced and sophisticated, thanks in no small part to Peter Jackson and the Lord of the Rings adventures. Lord of the Rings has changed New Zealand. It's made it much more of a tourist spot, and it's created a whole world-class, fully functioning film industry that wasn't there before. New Zealand was an amateur filmmaking country until Lord of the Rings happened. Now they are fully equipped, fully stocked, and they know what they are about. Some of the best technicians in all fields in the world are New Zealanders. They're very good at what they do, and very nice people. New Zealanders are very nice people. They've got good souls, and that is led from the front by Peter Jackson. At number 3 in my reasons for loving Lord of the Rings, bear with me while I try not to crash the car. I've written down here visuals, bigatures, achingly beautiful imagery, attention to detail, wetter. Well, that's a lot of stuff in that one number. How do I break that down? Do you know what? I'm not going to deconstruct that too much. Number 3 is all of the above. The imagery, the fact that the films really look like all of the best, most vivid, most artistic and creative and interesting dreams I ever had when I was a child and a young man growing up with ideas about becoming a filmmaker myself. The imagery in Lord of the Rings reminds me of all the best imagery in my dreams. It's beautiful, stunning, epic. A lot of it is the New Zealand scenery, and a lot of it is the bigatures / miniatures and the visual effects, the digital map paintings, the art and craft of all the people at Weta Workshop and Weta Digital who created a fully realised, very beautiful Middle-earth world. The Argonath statues, for example, the giant foot that you see floating past, not floating past, but as they float down the river, there's the giant foot in the background, and there are the Argonath. That's in Fellowship. Just beautiful, beautiful imagery. Number 4, the music. Now, in a way, this is an easy one to discuss, and also it's a bit of a daunting one to discuss because there is just so much to say. The music by Howard Shore for the Lord of the Rings trilogy is magnificent. It is his magnum opus, and he knows it. I was fortunate enough to actually see Howard Shore and the London Symphony Orchestra, or the London Philharmonic, I can't remember. The London Symphony Orchestra. I'm going to say it was the London Symphony Orchestra. I was fortunate enough to see Howard Shore and the London Symphony Orchestra perform the Lord of the Rings suite live on 2 occasions. One at the Royal Festival Hall, I think it was, and one at the Royal Albert Hall. And on both occasions I pestered him for an autograph afterwards. It's the only time in my entire life I have ever pestered anyone for an autograph. I regretted it on both occasions. I felt guilty. The man had just spent 3+ hours waving his arms around in front of an orchestra and thousands of people. He was tired, he was sweating, he wanted to go home, he needed a drink, and there was me and hundreds of other fans begging him for an autograph. I got him to autograph the CD of Lord of the Rings, or one of my Lord of the Rings CDs, which I then promptly lost. Just spat all over the place. I'm sorry, I got excited, I spat. Howard Shore created in ways that probably no film composer ever has before an epic 12-hour score while the film was being made, while chaos was ensuing all around, while the post-production schedule was becoming ridiculous. Peter Jackson was re-editing scenes that Shaw had already written the music for, so Shaw was having to rewrite the music again. They were having to tweak and adjust and record bits and then scrap them and record other bits, and then it would go in and be re-edited. It was an absolute mess. What I can say is it's beautiful. It features gorgeous leitmotifs. It's very, very hummable. That was one of the main briefs. Right at the beginning, Peter Jackson said to Howard Shore, I want the music to be hummable. I want to be humming it in my car. And he was humming it in his car. It became one of the most hummable, one of the most recognisable and celebrated music scores in film history. And Howard Shore is a remarkable composer. Coming in at number 5, these are in no particular order, by the way. The 5th reason that I love the Lord of the Rings films is the cast and crew family vibe. A fellowship, in fact. The fellowship of the cast, the fellowship of the crew, the love, the dedication, the obsession. It was, as far as I can gather from the numerous appendices, something of a how do you describe it? The cast, I was going to say a spiritual experience. I don't know whether that's too eggy. I don't know whether it's necessarily accurate. The cast and crew filmed 3 epic films back to back, and during that incredibly long production period they became very close. They all went a little bit nuts. They bonded. Some of them got married. Some people had babies. I imagine all sorts of mischief occurred, and a fun time was had by all. The cast and crew themselves all seem to be lovely people. I can't think of anyone, and bear in mind I have studied the appendices in depth on many occasions over the years. I can't think of anyone in the cast or the crew that I don't like, and I would love to have been a part of that experience. It's a unique experience that all of them share, and no one else can possibly imagine what it was like to be involved in that project. At number 6, the appendices. Servicing the fans, educating, welcoming in, providing excess of excess. Yes, they did provide an excess of excess. 12-hour film or 12-hour series of films might seem enough for some people, but they gave us hundreds more hours of documentary material. I personally consider the documentaries, the appendices for Lord of the Rings, to be more captivating and thrilling and more-ish to watch than the films themselves. The appendices for the Lord of the Rings films, and also for the Hobbit trilogy as well, are film school. You can watch all of those and you get basically a film school experience. I wonder what that was. Just went kaplunk. If you're interested in films, if you're a film student, you're planning on going into the film industry, you could do a lot worse than to study and really study the appendices. There are many documentaries from which to gain knowledge and wisdom, and I recommend them all. I recommend the appendices more than I recommend the films, and that's saying something. Number 7. At number 7, the extended cuts. The fact of them existing and the content contained therein. The extended cuts are marvellous. Now, a small caveat, I also love the theatrical cuts. The theatrical cuts are every bit as valid, every bit as entertaining and good to watch. In many ways, the theatrical cuts are better. I think a lot of people would agree with me that the pacing in the theatrical cuts is better. They're tighter, they're less flabby, they move along more speedily, even though they're still 3 hours plus in length. A lot of the fat is trimmed, and they work perfectly well. You don't get a sense that anything in particular is missing from the theatrical cuts. However, we are given, as an audience, this extraordinary, incredible gift of the extended cuts. So if you love the films as much as I do, you get to see even more stuff. And it's all good, apart from there are 1 or 2 scenes in the extended cuts that I actually would have preferred not be included. I really don't like the Nazgul scene in the extended cut of Return of the King. In fact, actually most of the additional scenes in the extended cut of Return of the King, I would be perfectly happy not to be there. But the Nazgul one in particular bugs me for a variety of reasons. To do with logic and continuity and all of that sort of thing. I love all the skulls. I love the skull stuff. All the stuff to do with the ghosts, the ghost army and the skulls and the corsairs. Love all of that stuff in the extended cut. But I don't like the scene with the Nazgul on the balcony. The extended cuts are a reason for loving the films, and you can watch the films in either configuration. It doesn't matter, both are equally excellent. At number 8, I've written down the epicness of the whole thing. And not just the films, but the whole experience, the whole fact of it. It's epic. It's just staggering. It is a huge, ambitious achievement. The people set out to do something impossible and they achieved it, and it was epic. It was done, the results were epic, but the process of creating those results was just as epic. So the epicness of the whole thing is so epic that counts as a whole number as far as I'm concerned. At number 9, loyalty. The loyalty to and from all of New Zealand. Peter Jackson's loyalty to New Zealand, the fact that he kept the whole project contained within his home country of New Zealand, his loyalty to his country, his crew members' loyalty to New Zealand, and New Zealand's loyalty to Peter Jackson and to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, all of that stuff, just the fact that they were all loyal to each other. There was a lot of love there, flowing in all directions. I love the love, I love the loyalty. I think the New Zealand people are a marvellous people, and Peter Jackson put New Zealand and the New Zealand people very firmly on the map and gave us all a reason to admire them hugely. So that loyalty that oozes from the screen, both from the movies and from the appendices, from the documentaries, to and from everyone in every direction. At number 10, courage. Courage to begin, courage to persevere, adapting the impossible book, finding the correct path to storytelling and filmmaking. That's a lot of stuff to deconstruct. I wrote all of this, I wrote my list a long time ago when I had just finished watching everything and I had a plan in my head, and now I can't remember anything about anything. All I know is that I'm trying not to die on this roundabout. So yes, courage, number 10. It took a lot of bravery. It took balls, big, brass, Peter Jackson-sized gonads to even begin such an epic undertaking. To even have the balls to go to a Hollywood studio and say, I'm an almost unknown filmmaker who's got a limited filmography. Some interesting films, a couple of good films, some not quite so good films, but not a huge director. Peter Jackson was not known very well, and his films were not huge blockbuster movies or anything. He wasn't particularly bankable. I think that's the word I'm looking for. And yet somehow this unknown, almost amateur filmmaker from New Zealand strode into Hollywood and said, hey, give me hundreds of millions of dollars to make an unfilmable book into 3 films. Well, actually, he started off, he was just going to do 2 films. That was a strange idea. I've never quite understood the thinking behind just doing it as 2 films. But when he originally took it to Miramax, it was going to be 2 films. And then, of course, New Line swooped in and said, no, 3 films. And this unknown director from New Zealand, a director of schlock horror, pretty, he made Bad Taste. He was the director of Bad Taste. And suddenly he's being given hundreds of millions of dollars and entrusted with the responsibility of adapting the most unfilmable book ever written into a trilogy of movies, and shoot them all at once, all in one go. That had never been done. It's just the ambition, the courage, the bravery, and the ambition is almost overwhelming. And of course, people take it for granted now because we all know the story of how it happened. We've all seen the results. We've all seen how many Oscars they all got. Everyone in New Zealand now has a knighthood. Seriously, when Barry Humphries was in New Zealand filming. Doing motion capture and voice work for the Goblin King in the Hobbit trilogy. He jokingly said he hadn't yet met anyone in New Zealand who wasn't knighted, and it's very nearly true. Everyone did very well out of the Lord of the Rings films. They made lots of money. Peter Jackson is almost as rich, if not more rich. No, he's about the same. He's about on an even footing to Steven Spielberg. He's a billionaire. He's worth over $3 billion, as far as I recall. Peter Jackson is a very wealthy man with a large collection of Oscars. He's done rather well. They've all done rather well, and deservedly so. Yes, the Lord of the Rings films put New Zealand on the map, created from almost nothing an entire world-class film industry in New Zealand. They created from almost nothing a world-class tourist industry. You can now visit Middle-earth, you can visit Hobbiton, it's a real place. You can actually get a drink at the Red Dragon. Is it the Red Dragon? The Green Dragon. Anyway, you can get a drink there. You can visit Hobbiton. You can do stuff. New Zealand was a place where people used to go for bungee jumping. Now you can do a lot more than bungee jumping. Tolkien created an English mythology, and Peter Jackson utilised that mythology to create a film industry. And all of it is extremely impressive, and I'm filled with love and admiration for the films and for the people that made the films. And that is all I have to say about that. I'm in love with Lord of the Rings, and I managed to discuss it at reasonable length and in a reasonable amount of detail, whilst simultaneously not crashing the car. I haven't crashed yet. There's still time, I suppose, but I think probably for now I shall sign off. Thank you very, very much for watching. If you've stuck with it throughout the length of this, it's a long video. Thank you. Thank you for sticking with it if you've lasted the whole length of it. And if you've enjoyed it, which I assume you have, you've watched it till the end. If you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Just one would be nice. I've made 12 or 13 films and no one has watched them and no one has given me a thumbs up. I'm not getting any encouragement. I need encouragement. Guys, come on. It costs you nothing. Please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up and drop me a comment and tell me that I'm not just wasting my time. So until next time, thank you for watching. Do subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers. Bye.